Before the MCU was even created, before Iron Man, before the Avengers, Marvel was experimenting to see if they can adapt many of its comic book heroes into the big screen. Some became legendary classics themselves, others became really cult favorites. And today is a movie that I'm gonna dive into that was pretty much one of those cult classic Marvel movies, even if most people don't agree with me what I'm about to talk about. It's about a vengeful hero who just rides along the fiery motorcycles and catches monsters across the world. And I'm really excited to break down this movie to you all. What's good, everybody? My name is Nate, and on this 58th episode of The Road to Avengers Doomsday, we're taking a look at Ghost Rider, a Nicolas Cage-led movie based on the iconic monstrous bike person. While critics were impressed at the time, many fans found themselves enjoying the over-the-top action performance of Nick Cage himself. So I'm really excited to break down this movie to you all, so sit back, relax, enjoy the show as we take a deep dive into Ghost Rider. Now, Ghost Rider first appeared in Marvel Comics in 1972. He was created by Roy Thomas, Gary Fredericks, and Michael Plong. Johnny Blaze quickly became one of Marvel's unlikely heroes. Unlike other superheroes like Captain America or Spider-Man, Ghost Rider isn't your typical hero. He was cursed, he's haunted, driven by supernatural forces, and his stories blend with superhero action, horror, fantasy, and religious mythology. That alone made him one of Marvel's most distinctive characters. And one of the reasons why this movie does pretty well is because of one actor, Nicolas Cage. Long before superhero movies became Hollywood's biggest genre, Cage was a really big comic book fan. He enjoyed DC, and he's since been wanting to play the role for Superman in that canceled Superman Lives movie back in the 1980s. As the character Johnny Blaze, Cage perfectly balances the confidence, the humor, the sadness, and complete insanity. Some people at the time think his performance goes way over the top, but personally, that's really how much works for Nicolas Cage. Ghost Rider is a larger-than-life character, and Nicolas Cage fully commits to the role inside and out. Not just him, but the supporting cast does work really well often. Starting off with Eva Mendes plays Roxanne Simpson, who is Johnny's childhood sweetheart and love interest. She brings the warmth to the story, provides Johnny with someone worth fighting for. And then there's Carter Slade, who's played by actor Sam Elliott, another Ghost Rider from the Wild West. Although his scenes in this movie are really limited, he completely steals every scene he's in, and his mysterious presence adds even more mythology to the film. Now, the film's main antagonist is Mephistopheles, who is played brilliantly by actor Peter Fonda. Rather than playing the devil Marvel presents this villain as a demonic figure manipulating Johnny Blaze into becoming his servant. Fonda gives the character a calm but sinister personality. He's not loud or flashy, instead he's quite intimidating, and pretty much like how comic book audiences were like, whoa, this is pretty cool here, I like this style. The main threat of the movie is actually from Blackheart, who is played brilliantly by actor Wes Badley. Personally, I think Blackheart is one of the movie's weaker enemies. But compared to Johnny Blaze, he never feels quite memorable. I would have liked to see more development on him throughout the entire story than some few scenes we barely got of him. The direction of this movie is actually pretty amazing from my own point of view. The film is directed by Mark Steven Johnson, who a few years prior got to do Ben Affleck's Daredevil, and that's another video I covered on the channel. You can check it out, in the videos I've done. Now, Johnson clearly wanted to stay faithful to the supernatural tone of the comics as close as he can. This film manages to mix horror, action, comedy, and fantasy. And while the balance doesn't work perfectly and it's all this giant spaghetti mess, I do appreciate how it embraces Ghost Rider's bizarre comic book roots instead of trying to make everything ultra realistic. When you have a comic book you're adapting, you gotta make sure it matches the roots and the tones. You don't want to add it like a new layer depth. You have to make sure it matches the vibe. That's what I like to see for like more like Hollywood stuff, especially they deal with supernatural stuff like Ghost Rider. Now, considering this movie came out around 2007, which is a whole year before the MCU was even born in 2008, the visuals still pretty much hold up, and I do like the visual effects they use for like the flaming skull for Ghost Rider. It does pretty practically well, and nice CGI. And also the health cycle looks pretty great. I know they had to use like some CGI stuff for the fire because they can't put realistic fire and some stuff. But I do appreciate how like the movie tried to push the boundaries to have things like something out of the comics, and I really like how it does it so well from in my perspective. Now the action scenes are actually pretty cool. The chains on fire, the motorcycle chases, the explosions, and of course the penance stare. Watching Ghost Rider forces criminals to experience pain they inflict on others is one of the character's most unique abilities, and that never gets old. Now I'm going to tell you my thoughts on the movie. Personally, I always enjoyed the Ghost Rider film. Is it a perfect one? No. The story is pretty simple, even though the dialogue is cheesy. The movie still does a great job to embrace like the crazy horror aspect of Marvel. And even though it was like a really short time, like back in 2007, I really appreciate how like the studio was able to do it like this. And Ghost Rider itself looks pretty incredible on screen, and I just really wish it'll be like many years later before we see another incarnation of Ghost Rider in Marvel TV, which is like in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. More on that later. So you might be wondering, why include this movie in the Road to Avengers Doomsday list? Well, because the multiverse is pretty changing. Thanks to films like Spider-Man No Way Home and the TV show Loki, Marvel has shown that legacy Marvel films can exist alongside the MCU timeline, even before or during. Even though Johnny Blaze's Ghost Rider has not appeared in the MCU yet, there is like a different version of Ghost Rider that did appear in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I forgot who his name is, but I think he does a pretty good Ghost Rider, and I would love to see him and the other Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider team up one day. I think it would be pretty cool. Even if we do get a new Ghost Rider of like Johnny Blaze, either it's Nicolas Cage coming back or it's a new dude, I think Ghost Rider would be a great addition in the future of Marvel, and it would be really fantastic to see him riding that health cycle again. In conclusion, Ghost Rider may not be considered one of Marvel's great attempts back in 2007, but I do think it does a great job experiencing like the tone of superhero and supernatural. It does it so at a great level, and I'm definitely looking forward to like doing another Ghost Rider review like on Spirit of Vengeance in a future video. If this video gets a lot of good likes and views, I really do appreciate it. But anywho, if you guys enjoyed this episode of Nate Reviews, make sure to give a like, comment, and subscribe down below. What do you think of Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider? And do you want to see him again in the future MCU, or have a new actor play Johnny Blaze? But thanks a lot, you guys. Have a good one, and remember, my videos are just the thoughts of the movies I watch, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Have a good day.